Hey everyone, Devin Greer here doing a review of the Midori web browser. You know, we got a lot of users in the Linux community, and recently I've been seeing a lot who uh, they've been stuck with like the same distribution. They don't really move software around, and a lot of them are new users. They haven't really experienced the beauty of the open source community. I mean, the beauty of doing open source is going out and playing with new software at no charge. And if you like it, then you contribute one way or another, whether that's setting up PPAs, making a donation, spreading the word about it, blogging about it, doing whatever you choose to do. So I figured one of the things I'd cover is Midori. And the reason why I picked to start off this segment with web browser is because, you know, really anytime I talk to anyone in the Linux community who talks about their web browser, it's always, I use Chromium, I use Firefox. It's like, can I get something new, please? Can I hear, like, I mean, seriously, have we gotten that limited? Because I remember when I came to Linux, we didn't have Chrome, but it felt like there were a lot more open source projects running around. And a lot of people using these open source projects. You know, nowadays it seems like it's almost like the car manufacturers. You know, we have like the big three. So I'm going to cover Midori. And what we're going to do first of all is we're going to pop up over here into the preferences. Now, everything is done through this gear. There is nothing up here other than if I was to exit out preferences, exit out, minimize, and maximize. There is nothing up there. So here we are. We open up the gear. We have the startup. You know, in here I can set my my home page, and then I can also set when Midori starts. If I want to even open it in a home page, I could have it where it sets up in speed dial. Show last open tabs, show last tabs without loading. Okay, so you got your fonts here. There's some people like real big on their font rendering because, you know, if you're like with a distribution like say Arch or OpenSUSE, you have a little work to do with font render. You come over here to behavior. This is all default with the exception of I enabled the spell checking because I cannot spell. Browsing, you can come over here and mess with your toolbar a little bit. You can open new pages in new tab, new window, current tab, and new tab behavior. I have it say show my home page, but you guys can have it show your speed dial, custom page, show default search engine, or show blank page. Really all your choice. We can head over here into the network for you people who are curious about proxy server. You have the automatic GNOME or environment. Otherwise, you can't set up an HTTP proxy server, or you can just set up no proxy server at all. Now, we also have privacy. For you guys who are like real freaked out about the NSA, which don't get me wrong, I am as well, but you know what? Linux does have some pretty advanced securities built into it, plus I have a pretty decent configured firewall. I'm not too worried about it, but for those of you who are, you can come in here and you can tell it, you know, only accept cookies from sites we visit, enable offline web application cache, strip refer details, and enable HTML5 local storage support. And we can even have it where it deletes old cookies after 1 hour and delete pages from history after 1 hour. Not such a bad idea. Now we have the extensions list. Now, the extensions list isn't like what it is in Firefox or Chrome, where you have a ton of developers building extensions for the community. Now, I'm not saying these have been built by the community, but these extensions have to be implemented by the Midori team. So all of these here have been put in by the Midori. It's very limited, very small. There is a lot of what we consider the must-haves, like an ad blocker. There's some codec supports like DivX and DJView. The Google Talk plugins are available. Java, QuickTime, Shockwave, which is Shockwave Flash. And if you notice, it is the 11.2. Another thing I'd like to point out, if you haven't noticed, these are all Netscape plugins. Essentially, they're all Firefox. Okay, and then of course we have the VLC Multimedia, Windows Media Player, and iTunes. Like I said, it's very limited. The upside to this, and I don't know if anyone has seen recently, it was covered on OMG Ubuntu, that a lot of the extensions for the Chrome web browser have been, people who have built them have been sold to malware companies. Now, that's not to say this wouldn't happen through Midori either, but there is a little bit more security in mind in the sense of they control what extensions we can manage and have, and I'm sure they would put any extension in there, but they at least know where their extensions have been. This is a good thing. All right, so we'll close out of here. Just to kind of demo the multicolored tabs here. We're going to open up my Facebook. Why don't we head over to the Ubuntu forums? Why don't we head over to OMG Ubuntu? You know what? I'm going to open up Ting while I'm at it. I'm going to open up my college portal. Now, if you haven't noticed, these tabs are loading. I mean, just loading up. So here we are. We got a ton of tabs open, right? And sure enough, the web pages are still going to load. I mean, decent. Is it super fast? No. But I would definitely say this is easily on par with Chromium. Hands down, on par with Chromium. And you know, in some cases, I have seen it move even faster than Chromium. Example, I can come over here and I can click on Bash Chat Beginners. Instant, right? I mean, you almost, like, by the time you click it and you move your eyes over to see if the page is going to load, it's already done. In Chromium, there is a little bit of a lag there. And don't get me wrong, Chromium's still extraordinarily fast. And as you can see, it goes in and it pulls up different colors for each thing, as it's supposed to. What I'm going to do is close out of 2 of the tabs here, because there is 2 important test factors when looking at a web browser. For starters, how is Flash holding up? Because we all know, and this is something kind of to consider here, web browser plugin for Flash right now in Linux is 11.2, unless you're a Chrome and Chromium user, and it's going the way of the dodo. It doesn't do Flash support like it used to. Like, I've noticed Flash in Firefox is a little on the slow side. Now, what I'd like to bring up, though, is that we also notice in the extensions that this pulls a lot from Netscape and Firefox. Firefox is working on an alternative Flash plug, not a plugin, but it'll be something built into the HTML5 code itself. And, of course, I have a good feeling that Midori will get to endure the
This
same.
episode of Linux Action Show.
Now, I'm going to turn that down there. We're going to kick this up to high def. I'm going to expand this all the way out, and I'm gonna sit there and shoot his head. And you know what? I'm not. It's pretty impressive, because I've seen on Firefox where I would do this, and the little spinning wheel comes up, and we're at high def almost immediately. Firefox, I have to wait for it to load, and this isn't to bash on Firefox, but it is to put some perspective that this web browser is extraordinarily light. So it did pass the Flash test. Now, one area where it did fail, and for a lot of you, this is not going to be a big deal. But here, let me log into my college portal. This, like I said, this isn't going to be a big deal for most of you, but it's not a deal breaker for me per se, but it is a big enough problem where this can't be a primary web browser. Well, it can be, but it can't be the only web browser on my system. So I can open up one of my college classes here, and we're going to head into, and I'm basically, now these are recorded, but we do have them live chat sessions. It uses Adobe Presentation, I think it is, and under Firefox, Chrome, and Chromium, this product works flawlessly. The issue that I've ran into with Midori is it does not like it. Okay? And as you guys seen, I have a ton of extensions installed. There's no reason why Midori shouldn't like it. So, ladies, it's not a complete deal breaker for me. But, you know, it does kind of suck, because if I did love this web browser that much, where I was like, yeah, you know, I could just uninstall all the other ones. No, I can't. Because there is a feature that it cannot do. Now, one of the things I also like is it was very easy to set up different search. So, like over here, I have this set up to Wikipedia. Now, this one, you have to right-click and then go manage search engines, and then I have it set to Google. So anytime I come into this, I can come in here and I could type in something like, Ubuntu, and it'll load it up. Or I can come over here and type in Ubuntu, and this should load me straight to the Ubuntu wiki page, or take me to Wikipedia, which that I think is a pretty nifty little feature. Now, the question you may be asking yourself is, okay, where can I get this? Where can I get this? Well, let's do a Google search for Midori. Here it is, midori-browser.org. Now, what I want to show you, if we go here to the downloads, they are a heavy supporter of Linux and making sure it runs on your distribution. Elementary OS users, you have it by default. But, Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian, Mint, Mageia, Arch, SUSE, and then you can just build it from source if you really wanted to. Now, I'm an Ubuntu user, so we're going to go over here. Okay, now, here we go. Let's talk about this, all right? There's 3 ways, especially for Ubuntu users, to achieve this. 1, you can download directly. AMD 64 for you 64-bit guys, i386 for you 32-bit guys. You can also do it via PPA. Now, here's the thing. I have heard, some of us are big on the PPAs. I've met people who are like, oh, I don't do PPAs because they break and then it messes up my updates and then I have to go in and remove the PPA. Or, PPAs are a way to allow untrusted repositories, unofficial. Okay, so here's the thing. We're not talking about a PPA that is being done by a unofficial team who's building the software from source and then putting it onto Launchpad, and then you're downloading from them, and then maybe they'll lose interest, and then the PPA is broken. No. This is, if we look at it, Midori's been around since 2007. And this is an official PPA, essentially, from the development team. So we know we are good, okay? Definitely good. Now, you can also get it from the Software Center. Now, I would pull up my Software Center, but because I've installed via PPA, when I go to Midori, it shows that I'm using the latest version here, which is 0.5.7. Like I said, it's not bad. It is beta. But for those of you who pull directly from the Software Center, you will actually get version 0.5.6. I have tested both. 0.5.7 is faster. It has far less bugs. And on a final note, there's features missing in 0.5.6. Example like spell checker. Maybe there's a workaround to get it working. But why not just, at least if anything, if you want to do the PPA, download the latest version, install it, and enjoy. Now, on that note, if you do already have Midori installed and you want to get the latest version, please make sure that you do a sudo apt-get purge Midori from the system. Because if not, it could, you know what, I've seen it where it doesn't completely mess things up, but I have seen where it does. All right. So this was basically my first application pick. Like I said, I picked it because of the simple fact everyone's about the Firefox, Chrome, and Chromium. I was like, hey, we need to put another web browser out there that does deserve some credit. Yeah, it's beta, and yeah, it's been beta for a long, long time. But it is in active development, and it has been getting better with each release. In some of my next videos, I'm looking at covering quite a few applications. I'm looking at definitely covering Digicam, because for any people who have never even touched the KDE desktop, I would be surprised if they heard of it. I didn't even know of Digicam until I had jumped onto a KDE desktop. There's a lot of applications that we're definitely be looking at. Some of them will be games, like Mind Test is another one I'd like to go over. If you guys definitely keep following the videos, we are going to have up a Google Plus page, and we will be looking for to do reviews on maybe specific applications, especially if you're unsure of features. I'd like to do some guides if you're curious on how to do certain things with the desktops or Linux distributions. And we're also going to be covering if there's any specific Linux distributions you're interested in. Now, I don't want to do a Ubuntu review. I don't want to do a Linux Mint review. But, if you come up and you're like, hey, what about Manjaro? What about Mangia? What about this or that? You know what? I think I'd even be more interested in doing a Debian review because no one gives Debian credit. You know what? Because Ubuntu, Linux Mint, OpenSUSE, and Fedora reviews, they're a dime a dozen. I can find like 19 on YouTube. So anyway, this was my review of Midori, which is a lightweight, fast, and free web browser. Thank you, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you guys soon.